Hello, everybody. We are live in the HEAL Facebook group. It's been a while since I talked to you, but I'm super excited to be back. And I have a special guest here today, and I'm very excited to talk to her and let her share her wisdom. We have talked before about motivation and that sometimes it's super difficult to stay motivated when we have a little journey ahead of us, right? If we don't have something that we can solve with a quick fix, and energy is certainly one, weight loss is certainly one, chronic health conditions that take a little longer. So what can we do to actually stay motivated and to keep going, even though sometimes it seems daunting, it seems like it's not working, we feel like giving up, holidays come around, birthdays come around, too many temptations, too little time. I mean, we all know this, right? It's just part of life. So also knowing some good strategy around this is also super helpful so that we're not losing sight of what we actually want to achieve. And so my special guest today is Juliana, and I'm super happy she's here with us today because she has lots to share. And why don't you just give a little quick introduction, who you are and what you do exactly and why?
Yeah, thank you so much, Pamela. I'm very excited to be here today. So I'm Juliana, and I work with women over 40 on the mind-body journey that is weight release. And really, the goal is to really honor our emotions, learn to balance our hormones, and do so through food and lifestyle changes. So that's what I do, and I'm passionate about this. The why, I think there's a couple of reasons, but I'll give a quick summary. I'll say primarily I've had pretty significant hormonal issues myself, and I really started to feel perimenopausal symptoms in my early mid 30s, and it just really fueled this passion. But also, I love working with women over 40 because that's a time in life that we start to really, look at our lives and go deeper and really go from the external way of living to more heart-centered living. And I know so many women are ready for this deeper, more tailored approach rather than a lot of the generic stuff, more for the counting calories and working super hard at the gym that we learn in our 20s and 30s. So that is the reason why I do what I do in summarized form.
Yeah, and you know what? You're so right. I also feel like I'm in my 40s now too, and there's definitely a shift that's happening once you turn 40.
Yeah.
It seemed to be like an old wives' tale before that. But my mom kept telling me this, and I'm always just saying, oh, yeah, like that's probably not true, but it actually is. And
Yeah.
then we find ourselves in this period of our life where we also have a lot of responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
We have kids, we have a job, we have, a life in general, friends, family.
Exactly.
Our parents are getting older. Some of us have to, take care more of our parents. We shoulder more responsibility. And
Yeah.
then we're hitting our 40s and we're supposed to, de-stress and, worry less and be more ourselves and tune into more to our bodies. And that's a big stretch for a lot of us, right? Because we are on a high-speed train that we set ourselves on when we were younger. And now all of a sudden we are going high speed and someone tells us, hey, brake, put your foot on the brake. And, and we're not quite sure how to do that. And so we try to ignore it for a while, and it works for some people. They ignore it.
Yeah.
Others feel a bit more bothered by it, but then also, where's the time to actually do something and what's the right strategy? Because it's not realistic for most of us to stop everything we're doing, just sit on the couch and tune into
Exactly.
the body, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's good that we have this conversation today. And we called it Activate Your Inner Motivation. Tell me a little bit about what does that mean? Like, how does that help us?
Yeah, absolutely. Motivation is probably one of my favorite topics to talk about. And of course, I really tailor it to specifically the health and wellness weight release journey aspect but in a way, the same principles apply to whatever area of life, right? So it could be career, it could be relationships, or whatever not. And really, the major concept of motivation is understanding how our brain operates in its very fundamental way, and in a way working with how things work rather than what is normally taught, which kind of goes against the principles. And what I mean by that is that motivation in the way that's normally taught has a lot to do with external ways to keep us on track, right? It's apps reminding us to do things and breathe, even accountability buddies or coaches or friends and family telling us what to do. It is this constant external way to keep us on track, right? And when it comes to some things in life, that may be okay, may work, right? But when it comes to deeper and more long-term, meaningful changes, like say changing your diet or lifestyle to release, weight and things like that, the long-term aspect usually doesn't work when you're relying solely on external means. So what I love to talk about and teach and do it in my work is shift that to an internal sort of burning fire that really gets you going, gets you choosing to make those choices rather than having to make those choices, if that makes sense. So in a nutshell, that's what I mean by the inner, the shifting from somebody else to you being the source of motivation.
Yeah, that makes total sense because, it's always, we even notice this when we're in school as little kids. If the teacher tells us
Yes.
something to do, it's like a chore. It is something that sounds hard and we don't want to do, right? But if nobody tells us anything and we go out and we decide on doing something, then it's
Yeah,
not a chore. It's more fun. We do it voluntarily and we
exactly.
can usually spend a lot of time on it because we actually enjoy it. So
Yeah.
I can already hear some people asking the question, but I don't enjoy it and I don't want to do
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
So how can we find this inner motivation to do something that's good for us? Do you have
Yeah.
any tips?
Absolutely. So I'll take that school example for a second, right? So I'm not sure if your audience is a lot of moms or not, but regardless, everybody I think can picture this example. So you take a young boy that does not like school but loves to play video games, right? You don't have to remind him to play. You don't have to remind him to, you have to tell them to stop playing and go shower and go eat, but not stop playing because there's so much inspiration for them to play the games. No matter how hard they get, they want to play harder and harder and harder games. Now, if you tell that boy, or you sit down and have a conversation and you help him, no matter how young, understand how, for example, getting good at math can enhance his video gaming abilities to the point that he actually sees that, yes, by understanding angles and speed and da da da, that I can be a better game player. I guarantee you he's going to go to math class differently next time, right? Has nothing to bribe him with treats and food. That's not what it is. It is, like I said, getting the brain to make the shift. So before I give you the tip of how we do that, the first thing I wanted to sort of highlight is that there's two types of choice that any human being makes. The number one type is very much the playing video game type, which is what I call your inner choices, your inner priorities, your inner, self-inspired type of choices. And then the other type is very much going to math class for that, young boy, which is the outer push, the things that feel like climbing a mountain. And we both know for some people, healthy eating and stuff is outer, is climbing a mountain. It's not natural and intrinsic. And that's true for maybe 95% of the world, right? We both know that. There's no line about it. But because now there's that clarity in your mind, okay, so there's inner choices and outer choices. What happens is the first thing that I tell people is we're all born with a set of inner choices. And that's why we're all unique, right? Because we all have different gifts. We all have different things that inspire us. I look at my husband and I, and the things that inspires him, I have no interest in on, and vice versa. And we still get along very well. So the more you understand your inner, and hopefully your spouse and your children, it's better because everybody can respect each other's preferences more. So that's a side bonus. But what it's cool is that once you become really clear, and that is not a noble list. Like I know people a lot of times they want their thing to be like volunteering, helping the world. And sometimes it is as simple as reading fictional novels. Like it doesn't have to be noble, it has to be true, right? That's the only thing. So when you look, okay, these are the top three things that you do most if you had the chance, that you get inspired when you do it, that you spend most money on, that surrounds you. Those are clues to start really gathering what are those top three, top five things for you. For me, as an example, they are learning and growing businesses, it's studying and teaching, right? So if I'm doing laundry, I am just not my best self, right? Like I'm frustrated, I'm rushing, but I can sit down and study for 10 hours without thinking about eating, right? Because I'm so deeply inspired by that. So that is the first step. Now, the question you asked is okay, so what if a lot of those strategies for healthy eating and weight loss are more on the outer column, which is very true, and it happens often. What happens there is that I say to people, you have three choices. If you have something you want to do and it's on the outer column, there's three options you can do. Option number one is change the goal. Decide, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's a choice, right? Because it's not normally what we recommend, but it is a choice. But if you don't want to just like, no longer do it, option number two is to delegate the parts of it that you dislike. So, for example, say that you could eat healthy if somebody cooked for you, but the problem for that person is the preparation of food, right? So the delegation there could be, is there a family member that you never really thought about asking that could take on cooking? Is there a neighbor, stay-at-home mom, for example, with young children that's willing to cook for you, pay the groceries and do a, fun exchange, that they're a great cook and they're happy to do that for you? Is there any meal delivery services nearby that fits the profile, whatever that looks like, just an example. But once you delegate the piece of the task that you don't want to do, then you start to free up and you start to just be more inspired to do the things that are good at doing, right? And that is usually, I would say, the easiest solution is to delegate. But what if you can't, right? Because sometimes you can't delegate. That's when option three comes on. And option three is something I teach very specifically in my program. And I know we're doing a live event as well. And I'm going to go into more details, but I'll just give like the general here. Option three is what we call linking. And linking is a process that we actually start to change our brain and how our brain sees things. So truly, by making connections of all the ways that by doing, say, the cooking that you don't want to do, how is in direct fulfillment of the 1, 2, top 3 tasks in your inner priorities list. So let's just say, for example, in my case, number one is running my business, right? Then the question is, how can cooking meals that takes me away from running the business is directly benefiting the business? Well, if I cook healthy meals, I can be listening to business podcasts, I can be doing this and that. And as you keep writing that list, as long as it gets, and for some people, Pamela, it could be 100, 200 items until the brain sees it. The moment there's no doubt from how our brain works, that task gets temporarily moved into your inner priority column. It is possible. It sounds like maybe a little, if it's the first time people are hearing this, a little intense. But when you're absolutely linked between the two, you're able to do that cooking without feeling like it's depleting your energy. It's a way that the brain can find inspiration in doing things that originally you did not feel would be as inspiring to you.
That is amazing. I really love that because it's something that we're not necessarily thinking of.
Yeah.
We're staying stuck in all the things we don't want to do, right? So we have this goal of losing weight or getting more energy, but then we think all the negative things about why we don't want to do what we need to do, and everybody already told us what to do, and we kind of know what to do, but we don't really want to do it, right? And it's this feeling of, I don't feel like doing it, like a little child who doesn't want to, do what the parents want to do. And we kind of keep this as we get older, right? We're we get cranky and we don't want to do it. And also then sometimes we feel like we're failing, we're a failure. We feel
Exactly.
that we can't
Yeah.
put it off, like we're starting to think all these things, these negative things about ourselves, because we're lacking those strategies how to actually come around. So I'm super, super happy that you just mentioned some really amazing strategies how we can get around it. And I also hear you saying we have to do some soul searching. We have to get to know ourselves pretty well in order to be successful.
Exactly. And the one thing I'll add to it from what you just said just a minute ago, the two things happen when we live our lives from the outer list of priorities, right? One, our body's constantly giving you feedback. That's just how we're designed, because we're designed to live a beautiful, inspiring life, even though most people don't believe that's possible, but it is possible. So the feedback is exactly what you said. We're just like beating ourselves down and feeling off because we're always trying to do something that we're not inspired to do, right? So it becomes this almost like self-defeating, cycle of I don't do it, I feel bad about it, then I feel even more bad about it, I don't do it even further and keep going. The second thing is actually a very big emotional root cause of things like cravings, especially late night cravings. And women love this. I'm going to just add this random fact here. When we spend our day with this long to-do list that are unfulfilling to you, at night when kids are in bed, or maybe not kids, but spouses are in bed, computer is closed or laptop is closed, what happens? We have a little bit of me time. And for some women, that is super late at night. And the me time becomes almost this little rebel time. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to refill my unfulfillment. And a lot of times that is when the wine, chocolate, or salty chips, those are the top three. And I've spoken with women for over a decade on this. That's the top three hitters, at least in North America, that women go to, because that is a treat to refill their unfulfillment, right? So again, it's not that you're cheating on your diet, or you're just following your body's physiology, because you spend the whole day climbing on top of the mountain, rather than what I like to call the inner, way of living. You have this beautiful magnet attracting all you want, or you can be heavy backpack, climb this mountain, which most women do. And at the very top of the mountain, there is the chip, the alcohol, and the sweet chocolate, right? So I just want to try that as well, because those are two consequences: the self beating ourselves up, as well as the cravings for those more emotionally fulfilling foods, because they neutralize our emotions just enough to give us that endorphin to make us feel a little bit better, because we spend the whole day not feeling like ourselves. So it's kind of like you said, the deep work is how I phrase it when you said the soul searching, right? It's crucial. And I actually, in how I work, I put that ahead of telling you what to eat, because I can tell you what to eat. And if it's not in alignment with your, even mindset state, all that I'm doing is giving you tons of goal conflicts, right? Which is not sustainable. So we work on understanding that mindset piece first. And then you get your place that you're choosing those foods, choosing to go to bed at a decent time, choosing to drink water, as opposed to having to or should do this and should do that. Yeah.
I love it. Like you've given so many good pointers and so much strategy here in this life, in this very short period of time. And I know there's so much more to say. And we're both very passionate about helping women, free themselves of anything they want to free themselves of, weight, excess weight, too much burden, chronic disease, not fatigue and tiredness, like we can be so much more powerful and stronger if we feel healthy. And we have the strategies that work for us, then we can really be successful. And that's really what our work is set out to do. We want everyone to be successful and not just try something else. Life is too short to keep trying things that are not going to work in the end. So I'm so happy that we could talk about this today. And I know we haven't finished our conversation, because we're going to bring more things to you so that you can really be successful in your own journey, whatever journey you're on. So, Juliana, do you want to tell us a little bit more what we're going to do?
Absolutely. And I'll ask you if you can, Pamela, to put the link on the screen for us. So on November 23rd, and if you go to that link that Pamela's putting on the screen, and later it's going to be on the post as well. If you click there, you can save your spot. So the event is only happening in November, but there's lots of time to register. And what we're doing at this event is a live event that you can come, and it's totally free. And you can, at the end of it, ask us any questions as well. So it's a good opportunity to, if we spark some questions with today's conversation. But what I would like to share with you all, so there's two main things I want to share. The first thing is what I have gathered over the last 11 years that are the three major stumbling blocks for women as they're trying to release weight in midlife. And we're going to talk about emotions. We're going to talk about hormones and which hormones to watch for in balance. And we're also going to talk about food. So that's the first thing, because I really like to give you a really good understanding of how the pieces fit all together. And the second thing that we will do on this live event, that the link is on your screen, is really go deeper into helping you start crafting what is the plan that works for you. Because a lot of times, and we said briefly here today, like if you just, keep trying all these different things and you're getting very confused, right? Because now there's all this information and you can't keep track of anything or even implement them. I will share what is the actual implementation that I do with clients and myself in my own life and my family's life, and all the three steps of the methodology that I teach everyone, and you're going to get that as well. So you're going to leave knowing exactly what the three steps are. And we're also going to be talking about the three major belief shifts that I want you to start making. The three beliefs that I wanted to start making so that you can get yourself in the best, most vibrant health you can in midlife.
I'm so looking forward to this. I know it's going to be an amazing event. And if you're joining us, you will walk away with so much strategy, so much food for thought, so many things you can implement right away and see how it works. So I really do hope that you join us for this free event. Even though it's in November, so it's still a little while to go, we want to put it out there today because we are super excited. We can't wait to get started. And we want you to feel, our excitement, our energy and passion about helping you get out of the rut that you're in and really start making a difference in your life. So again, thank you so much, Juliana, that you joined us here today and made the time to speak to the amazing group here in Heal. And I can't wait to speak to you again soon. We will be repeating this probably on YouTube the next time. And in the meantime, please copy the link and you'll find it again in the post as well. And join us in November. And thank you so much, Juliana, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone here in Canada.
Yes, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.